6.
Alrighty guys, what is going on? Back in California. Yeah, just to recap the New York trip. Awesome time. I hope you guys enjoyed that series. I appreciate the feedback on that series. New York in the fall, what a time to fish. We had some really good catches, some interesting fishing. I'll tell you one thing, I think I'm gonna do a few more trips in New York in 2023. Try to hit all the seasons, because not only is that a good time to obviously go see friends and family at home, but man, the fishing it's pretty good. So New York series is over, back in California, and our first trip out will actually be here at Lake Berryessa. We just pulled up, and it's to pre-fish for the last tournament of the year, the Yak-a-Bass Tournament of Champions. Just to give you guys some context, today is the first official day of practice. It is Thursday. You can practice today and tomorrow Friday. We're just practicing today. Gonna go home, do some things, and then come back Friday night. The event itself, the TOC, is a Saturday, Sunday, 2-day event. So yeah, practice all today. We're gonna see if we can figure something out on this body of water. You guys have probably known if you've watched the channel for the past couple of years, with the exception of the springtime, man, Lake Berryessa is really tough. It's been really tough for me, and I think it's partly due to the significantly lower water. Obviously, this water is crazy low. I don't even know. We'll put it right here, how many feet it's down. For whatever reason, and maybe someone can explain this in the comments below in a scientific manner, it seems like all these lakes, because of this drought that have, dropped in water level, it seems like a lot of these fish have moved off the bank, moved off the bottom, and really suspended more offshore. And for me, obviously, that's hard to target those fish, and I think it is difficult to target those fish in general, but I don't know why dropping water levels seem to make these fish suspend offshore and make them difficult to find, but that's what it's really been the past couple of years. Before we get into practice today, let's address the elephant in the room. Got our truck back. We got our Ram 1500 back, the truck that I've been driving since 2015. If you guys watched the videos in the summer, on July 26th, I made a quick announcement that I got hit. It was in an accident. Luckily, I was fine. I walked away from it, but she got beat up pretty good. About 3 months, 100 days later, got the truck back. I don't want to go into too much detail, but it was a little bit of a nightmare working with insurance. I had a bad adjuster. The other party had a bad adjuster. Communication was terrible. It was a bad situation and just dragged out way longer than it needed to be. But we finally got the truck back. And one thing I wanted to do before we got into today's video is, mention something and actually give someone a call. We're going to call someone that really helped me through this entire process that could have been a lot longer. We're going to get Mr. Ben Green on the phone. We're going to FaceTime him.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Mr. Ben Green, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I was just telling the folks at home, the audience, kind of the situation. The truck has been MIA for the past 3 months. About 90 days later, we're back in, and the main reason I'm calling is because I want to give you a huge thank you for, helping me out in this situation. You made it a lot easier, being my advocate. So, folks, Ben Green of Ben Green Insurance Agency. Ben, if you don't mind, just kind of quickly introduce your business and kind of what you provide in general.
Greg, I just wanted to say thank you very much for this opportunity. Ben Green Insurance Agency, we exclusively insure fishermen. We're in 23 states, and fishermen are unique, as you know. We're on floating jewelry boxes out there, whether it's a bass boat or a kayak. We've got gear that we have to take in and out of motels, storing at friends' places, storing off premises at storage facilities. It's got to be covered. It's got to be covered the right way. And to explain that to a standard insurance adjuster, hey, I've got a fishing rod, they're thinking you got the $29.99 special, which might be fine. But most of us have rods and reels that could be up $500, $1,000 each combo. And then you have graphs on these kayaks that are $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, lithium batteries, motors. The list goes on and on. So get with somebody. I'd encourage the people that are watching this to get with somebody that knows fishermen and takes care of fishermen's needs. Here at Ben Green Insurance Agency, it's exclusive. We do not do business with the outside world, exclusively catering to fishermen.
Yeah, dude, and that's exactly how I found out about you. I asked a couple buddies a few years ago that are fishermen, and they have bass boats. And, I was looking for an insurance vehicle and something to protect my kayak, because, again, at the time, the kayak was starting to get a little more valuable, and they said Ben Green. Did some research, and I figured out that you insure, like, a ton of bass boat guys out here starting to get in the kayak world. And then just kind of combining a lot of the comments and messages I've seen in the past, like you touched on. How do you protect your gear? How do you feel safe going to a motel or a hotel overnight or a campground, or having, a relatively expensive piece of plastic sticking out of your truck? And when I called you and we talked a few years ago, everything was covered. Huge peace of mind. But again, the biggest thing I wanted to say from all of this, that being said, you were a huge advocate for me. That's why I wanted to work with an agency and not just have direct insurance. I wanted someone to be on my side in case we had a nightmare of a situation. And again, I don't know if this is like a nightmare. It took longer than it needed to be, but dude, when the accident first happened, I called you, you picked up right away. I called you at random times throughout the last 3 months. You always picked up, you always helped me. That was a huge help, man. I thank you so much for that.
Let's walk through this perfect storm of a claim, if you will. This is not typical, and we had a very easy, cut and dry claim to deal with. Basically, you got an accident, you were not at fault, there was a police report, we filed the claim together, and basically my job at that process is to set up a timeline. And what happens with that timeline is now we have a reasonable expectation for yourself, for myself, for the insurance company, etc. Only until August 29th, 35 days after the incident, was liability accepted. At that point, your carrier decided that they were going to take care of everything, and then basically what they call subrogate against the other carrier. Fine and dandy. However, typically in these subrogations, they are only following the coverages that you currently have on your policy, and the standard in the industry is 30 days for rental car coverage. So we had to get some approvals through the process. And again, that was not easy. That was like pulling teeth. But everything was documented. The reasonable expectation was set. And when the reasonable expectation with whoever it was that we were discussing this with was not met, then we had ample firepower to go back and have a conversation and reevaluate the position and ultimately get people to do what we needed them to do. Now, fine, liability was accepted. Well, the vehicle was damaged, and we couldn't find a shop that could repair not only the mechanical, but also the bodywork. And what happened there was now we have a timeline wait because of two factors, important factors. One is parts, two is labor. Labor is very difficult to get because, unfortunately, the vocational schools, the trade schools, are not as popular as they once were. So the demand for labor and people that know how to fix, skilled labor, body shops, mechanicals, they're not out there in the marketplace. This is all backed up. And again, what I call this claim is the perfect storm. I've been doing this 22 years. I would figure a claim like this would be done. You'd be back in your truck in 30 days. That's typical. That's the standard. Prior to this new set of circumstances we've all been, working through. So that is kind of what happened in this overall claim situation, which dragged on for 4 months. Fortunately, now you're made whole. The vehicle's back in your possession, and we're down.
You said this is one of the messiest situations you've had to deal with that shouldn't have been.
I'd say, Greg, you set the high score for the amount of time that it's ever taken on a basic, simple claim. Give you a flip side to this. Somebody goes out, takes off a lower unit, basically same week. In a lot of cases where we know the dealerships, we can have that thing turned around in 2 or 3 days and given approval.
Yeah.
Very easy.
Yeah, dude. And again, though, this would have taken so much longer had you not been involved. And again, all the calls, the random calls at whatever hours of the day you were there. I mean, you were there the first day. So again, huge thanks to you. Just wanted to give the folks a little bit of an idea as to why this has taken so long. I had a lot of questions as to if I was still in a rental, why I was still in a rental, where's my truck, etc. So hopefully that answered it. As I mentioned, guys, I will link his contacts in the description below. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Hope to talk to you soon. Not insurance related, maybe at like a tournament or something.
Thank you, Greg. Have fun out there on Berryessa.
Will do. So yeah, guys, that is the story, and we're back in the truck. Now, I have to say one more thing too, just to give everything context, especially with the videos that are about to come in the next couple of months. After about a month of this debacle, with my truck still sitting in my driveway, I wasn't feeling too optimistic. I didn't know when or if I'd get this truck back, so we started looking at new vehicles. And also shout out, after that video I mentioned about the accident, shout out to you guys, because I had so many people reach out, you know, recommending dealerships or recommending vehicles, places to go, car shopping. I really appreciate that. You guys were awesome on that front. But we did have a buddy who knew someone that may be able to get us into a new vehicle. That contact was also another fisherman. I'm just gonna leave it at that for now. I just wanted to put that out there, that in maybe like a month or so, we'll ironically probably not have this vehicle once again, but for good reason. Okay, I should stop talking. I should probably start fishing because I need to figure something out. Man, that water's low. Let's head on down there and get fishing, see if we can figure something out. Alrighty guys, just made a pretty long run to a grass patch that we've had some success at before, but I'm going to say this is the only, I guess, history, so to speak, that we're going to fish today. Based on what I said earlier, like low water levels, and these fish probably being more offshore, suspended, chasing bait, really not bank oriented unless maybe you find some grass with bait in it. Other than this spot, I think we're pretty much going to be graphing most of the day. I mean, we'll, you know, throw a jig on points or any rocky structure we find, but I really think that's going to be the ticket, as it was last year. We had a tournament here last year. It's the same tournament, actually, the TOC. Similar conditions, maybe a little cooler last year, but it seemed like most of the field that did really good were fishing offshore, chasing schooling fish. So electronics will be key this tournament, I feel. I'm going to mention this, the confidence meter. We've talked about the confidence meter before. How every trip, no matter what, you start out the day at 100%, and depending on how the day goes, how the fishing goes, that can either stay there or, unfortunately, for this lake, significantly drop. Definitely had some days where that confidence meter was just about near zero out on this body of water. History works sometimes, but that's the thing about this lake. Last time this happened, we were gone the next day. Alrighty, number one. That'll keep the confidence meter high. Nice little chunk. All right, we'll take it. One thing we've learned though is that does not mean that's the deal. My big mistake last time was coming to the same area after that happened, throwing top water and wasting a lot of time in a spot they just weren't. Oh. Okay, maybe they are here. Maybe there's some fish here. That's a little bit smaller. What is that? Is that a bass? It is a bass. Jeez Louise. Wow, you hate to hook them like that, poor fella. Okay, what was I saying? I was gonna say that doesn't really mean anything location-wise. It's not like this spot's loaded with fish. I mean, maybe it is, but I doubt it. The one thing it does say is can't take top water off the table. God, jeez Louise. Chasing a jig? Oh, it's a big spot. Oh my God, look at the spaghetti on the screen. That's a really big spot. Just one of those wolf packs right there. Just one of those wolf packs. Maybe the spot does have them. That's a really big spot. Jeez. Yeah, buddy. There's a lot of fish right there. Holy smokes. Yeah, he chased that up. You saw it. Reeling it in. I guess they want to chase. Man, confidence meter is staying at 100. That's so rare for Lake Berryessa. I haven't been fishing for more than 20 minutes. Do we just leave now? No, obviously we don't. We say that every time. We don't just leave. Because again, I'm going to continue to emphasize this. These fish, this low water time of year, these fish are roaming. They're not just going to chill here the next couple days for the tournament. I don't think they will. I hope they do. Hope this at least gives us a starting point, and then we can find them. Better throw something moving, right? Oh boy. What are you guys doing? Oh, there we go. I knew there had to be one down there. Oh, that's what we got. That's what I was afraid of. Dang, micros. Smallmouth. Dude, we already got the slam, the Berryessa slam. Look how realistic that drop shot minnow is, though. You'd think that's a real bait. Just a piece of plastic. Darn. I knew I was seeing marks down there, just couldn't tell exactly what they were, if they're crappie or small bass, or I don't know. Appears to be a lot of small ones down there. And we caught that good one on the jig by accident. We saw what else was with it on the graph, much bigger marks. Again, I think that's just a school of fish just cruising about. Oh, wish they'd stay put in one area. Yeah, getting a lot of small ones follow the top water. See two little ones right there. Dude tried to eat it. Man, why can't you guys be bigger? Why can't you guys be bigger? It's like these marks in 18. These might be the small ones though, that's the thing. Well, follow it down. So you should bite, right? Oh, we did bite. Yep, that confirms it. A lot of those marks, what we're seeing, are these hot dogs. That is literally a hot dog. Put that in a bun. Oh, this feels like a good one. They all feel good on the jig though. Okay. Oh boy. Oh boy. That's big. That's big. Come here, Sonny. Oh my god, it's a giant. I know I say that every time, but it's a real big one. Holy smokes. Oh my god. Oh. Wow. Second really big spotted bass on a jig. Dude, it's like a 3.5, 4 pounder. You might have to just throw the jig all day. What a beautiful fish. Gosh, thank you, sir. One o'clock, bite number 3, quality bite number 3. On a point, rocky point, on a jig. And the question is, was that fish on the bottom, or did that fish see the bait fall? Was that fish suspended and see it fall and follow it and thump it? I don't know. All these birds. Are there any bass around here? I'm sure there's a ton of bait, but are there bass? believe I think they are shallow. I think we missed. I think we were too presumptuous today. We were too presumptuous, thinking they'd be out deep. I mean, they are probably, but that's a big largemouth, right? Oh, there's a one. Look at the one with it. Look at the one with it. You see the one with it? Holy. Oh, very hooked. He's probably gonna pop off. I don't care though. Oh man. That's a fat one right there. That is a fat one. Up shallow. A fatty. Here. Getting deja vu in not a good way. Literally, I mean, if you guys saw the last tournament we had, the TOC for the other series, the California Bass Nation series, this is exactly what happened in practice. We got shallow topwater bites, and this is exactly what happened last year at the TOC for Yak-a-Bass on Lake Berryessa in October. In practice, we got shallow topwater bites, and both times on tournament day, it just didn't happen. Didn't even get limits. I think the weather's gonna be barely the same though this weekend. I think that's the one thing we have going for us, but what the heck? I'm gonna keep fishing this bank because you can see how good this grass looks. And dude, there was another fish with that fish we just caught, so you know that, man, I don't think those fish came from out deep. I think they were up in the grass, maybe cruising. I'm gonna work this bank, and if we get one more bite, I think we found our game plan, at least to start. That was a big one. Okay. I think we've got a game plan. Alrighty guys, that is going to conclude our first trip back in California. Practice for, again, the TOC Yak-a-Bass series here on Lake Berryessa. And just to recap our day, we went in thinking that just like the years past, this time of year, especially recently with these lower water levels, that our best chance of getting on numbers and some quality would be offshore. Really looking at our graph, looking for schooling fish, suspended fish, chasing bait. But first we decided to try some history. One area that had some grass in the past, we caught a few topwater fish out of that one little patch, and it didn't take long. 10 minutes in, got our first topwater fish, a largemouth. Again, that area I don't think just holds fish. It's just kind of a stopping area for some of those fish that chase bait. And every once in a while you get lucky and get one that's on the move feeding, and you'll be able to catch it on topwater. So we got that fish. Then we moved to the old jig, and actually reeling the jig back to the boat. Big old spotted bass, slam that thing. Definitely one of the bigger spotted bass I've ever caught. It actually may have been a meanmouth. What a fish, and that told me that maybe this was an area where there were some fish chasing some bait. Obviously getting that jig bite on the move made me think, all right, well, let's try some moving stuff. Tried an A-rig, tried a blade bait, tried a crankbait, and nothing. Decided to move on, explore some new water, which was the original game plan. We looked everywhere. We looked around islands, points, offshore humps. We were looking at anywhere from 15 to 50 foot of water, and I really wasn't graphing anything except for in 15 to 20 foot. And just like last time, those marks were small bass and bluegill. I mean, we saw them follow the top water up from 15 foot of water. And as we mentioned, that confidence meter throughout the day started pretty high and slowly dwindled about 12:30, covering some new water through the jig on a point. I think as soon as it hit the bottom, maybe a second or two after, we felt that bite set the hook. Another big spotted bass, and again, that one might have been a meanmouth as well, but two really quality fish out of the three on the jig, and that was on the bottom. And again, you know, a lot of these fish at this point that I'm catching, I still think are suspended or chasing bait. When that jig falls, I think I'm just getting lucky and it goes by one's head and it follows it down and eats it. But a quality fish, and the confidence meter moved back up a little bit, maybe to 70%. And then we kept fishing, covering water, checking stuff. Saw some birds, looked like they were chasing bait, which they were, just didn't see any bass on them. Confidence meter continues to drop. We decided to go back to the shallow grass, even though we know there's a ton of small bass and bluegill up in there. We're just hoping that maybe there's some big ones roaming around. And it didn't actually take too long to get bit. Nice largemouth, quality fat largemouth. Had a nice one with it, real shallow shallow up in the grass, and still at this point, I'm getting a little more confidence, but not much. I'm not thinking that there's just a bunch of fish in the grass. I think a lot of these fish, again, are just roaming and cruising, and every so often I'll get lucky and get one to bite. Again, that was not the goal. That was not the game plan today. The game plan and goal of today was to find offshore spots, suspended fish, find a bait, find an area that we could maybe spend half or most of our day in just trying to chase these fish. Just didn't find them. Again, it's something that I definitely need to work on, getting better with my electronics, finding those offshore fish, chasing bait, and figuring out how to catch them. And obviously we didn't do that today. We just found a little maybe secondary pattern that I have no idea if that'll hold up, especially for a 2-day tournament. But guys, like I mentioned, tournament, it's actually in 2 days. Today again is Thursday. Heading back home tonight. We'll head up Friday night, meet up with a crew. Then Yak-a-Bass TOC Lake Berryessa begins on Saturday, and championship Sunday, of course. Final tournament of the year coming up in the next video. Not a terrible day, not a great day, and we'll say like a B- C+ practice. At least we didn't skunk back in California. That's always good. But I'm gonna head home, get re-rigged, get ready for this tournament, and I will catch you guys in the next video for the Yak-a-Bass Tournament of Champions 2022 on Lake Berryessa. We'll see you then.